Someone just said, "They're not lucky." And for the first time, the room went silent. Because deep down, everyone knows luck doesn't explain relentless growth. Luck doesn't explain surviving what should have broken you. Luck doesn't explain why every setback became a setup, why every betrayal became fuel, and why every closed door pushed you towards something greater. People call it luck because admitting the truth is uncomfortable. The truth is you've been fighting battles they never saw, carrying weights they could never handle, and building yourself in silence while others watched from a distance. Today we're exposing the difference between luck and power. People love to use the word luck when they witness a result but never saw the process. They see confidence and assume it appeared overnight. They see success and assume it was handed to someone. They see growth and assume circumstances were somehow easier. What they rarely see are the countless moments hidden from public view. They do not see the sacrifices. They do not see the discipline. They do not see the nights spent questioning everything while still refusing to quit. It is easier for people to label achievement as luck than to confront the uncomfortable reality that extraordinary results often come from ordinary actions repeated with relentless consistency. When someone watches another person rise higher than expected, they naturally search for an explanation that protects their own comfort. It luck, they never have to examine their own habits. If they call it chance, they never have to question their own excuses. The word becomes a shield that protects them from accountability. The truth is that most victories are built in silence. Nobody applauds the early mornings when exhaustion is winning. Nobody celebrates the days when motivation disappears but the work still gets done. Nobody notices the moments when disappointment strikes and yet another step is taken forward, are invisible to everyone except the person living them. By the time success becomes visible, the struggle that created it has already happened behind closed doors. Many people underestimate how much pain can be hidden behind a smile. They see someone standing strong today and assume they have always been strong. They forget that strength is usually born from pressure. It is created when life pushes a person beyond their limits, and they discover they can survive more than they ever imagined. Every challenge leaves a lesson, every hardship leaves a scar, every setback teaches resilience. Over time, those experiences transform into a level of mental toughness that outsiders mistake for natural talent. Think about the times when nobody believed in you. Think about the moments when your efforts produced no immediate reward. Think about the seasons when progress felt invisible. Those periods were not wasted. They were shaping you. While others were seeking instant results, you were developing patience. While others were quitting at the first sign of difficulty, you were learning endurance. While others were looking for shortcuts, you were building foundations. People often admire the final chapter without understanding the entire story. They focus on the outcome because outcomes are easy to measure. The years of persistence are harder to see. The emotional battles are impossible to calculate. The internal wars fought against fear, doubt, insecurity, and failure leave no public record. Yet those battles matter more than anything else. They are where real transformation occurs. There is a certain loneliness that comes with pursuing something meaningful. At times, it feels as though nobody understands what you are trying to accomplish. Family may doubt your vision. Strangers may criticize your ambition. In those moments, continuing forward requires a level of belief that cannot be borrowed from anyone else. It must come from within. It must survive even when external validation disappears. The people who eventually achieve remarkable things are rarely the people who avoided hardship. More often, they are the people who learned how to keep moving despite hardship. They developed the ability to function through uncertainty. They learned how to stay committed when circumstances became difficult. They stopped waiting for perfect conditions and started creating progress with whatever resources they had available. Why the word luck often fails to tell the full story. It ignores the sacrifices nobody witnessed. It ignores the failures nobody remembers. It ignores the persistence nobody applauded. It ignores the courage required to continue after repeated disappointment. What appears effortless from a distance is often the result of years spent refining, learning, adapting, and refusing to surrender. Behind every achievement that others call lucky stands a person who chose to continue when quitting would have been easier, who kept building when results were invisible, who kept believing when doubt was louder than hope, and who transformed every obstacle into another reason to keep advancing. Most people spend their lives trying to avoid setbacks. They see obstacles as signs that something is wrong, as proof that they should stop, turn around, or lower their expectations. But the people who eventually become impossible to ignore understand something different. They understand that setbacks are not always roadblocks. Sometimes they are construction sites. Sometimes they are quietly building the very strength that future success will require. When things go according to plan, growth feels comfortable. Confidence comes easily when victories arrive without resistance. But comfort rarely reveals what a person is truly capable of. Pressure does, difficulty does, loss does. Those moments force people to discover abilities they never knew existed. A challenge has a way of exposing hidden strength. It strips away illusions and leaves only what is real. Think about every disappointment you have faced. At the time, it probably felt unfair. It may have felt like life was moving against you. You may have questioned your direction, your abilities, or even your worth. Yet many of those painful experiences were teaching lessons that success could never teach. Failure forces reflection. Rejection develops resilience. Delays create patience. Obstacles demand creativity. Every setback carries a hidden opportunity to become stronger, wiser, and more prepared. The problem is that most people only understand the value of a setback after they have already survived it. While they are in the middle of the struggle, all they can see is the pain. They focus on what was lost instead of what is being developed. They focus on what went wrong instead of what is being revealed. But growth often happens beneath the surface, long before visible results appear. A seed buried underground might look forgotten to an outside observer, yet beneath the soil something powerful is happening. Roots are forming, strength is developing, preparation is taking place. Human growth works much the same way. There are seasons when progress is invisible. There are periods when all the effort seems pointless. Yet those are often the moments when the foundation for future success is being built. Every setback forces a choice. A person can become bitter, or they can become better. They can allow disappointment to define them, or they can use it as fuel. They can focus on what happened to them, or they can focus on what they will do next. That choice determines whether adversity becomes a prison or a training ground. The strongest individuals are rarely those who had the easiest journeys. More often, they are people who have been tested repeatedly. They know what it feels like to fail. They know what it feels like to be underestimated. They know what it feels like to start over. Of that, they carry a level of confidence that cannot be faked. It is not based on theory. It is based on experience. They know they can survive difficult situations because they already have. There is a certain power that develops when a person stops fearing setbacks. Once fear loses its grip, everything changes. Rejection becomes information instead of devastation. Failure becomes feedback instead of a final verdict. Challenges become opportunities instead of threats. The same events that break one person begin to strengthen another because their perspective has changed. Many of the world's greatest achievements were born from moments that initially looked like disasters. Opportunities often appear disguised as problems. New directions frequently emerge from unexpected endings. The very event that seemed to destroy a dream sometimes creates a better one. But that possibility can only be seen by those who keep moving forward despite uncertainty. Setbacks also teach humility. They remind people that growth is a continuous process. They expose weaknesses that need improvement. They reveal blind spots that success may have hidden. In that way, adversity becomes an honest teacher. It shows people where they must evolve if they want to reach a higher level. The person you are becoming is shaped just as much by your struggles as by your victories. Every difficult season leaves something valuable behind. Every challenge develops a new layer of strength. Every obstacle teaches skill that may become essential later. What felt like punishment often becomes preparation. What seemed like a delay often becomes protection. What looked like failure often becomes the foundation for future achievement. The setbacks that once appeared to be working against you were quietly shaping your character, sharpening your mindset, strengthening your resolve, and preparing you for responsibilities that a weaker version of yourself could never have carried. There is a unique kind of power that comes from working in silence. In a world where people constantly announce their plans, display every move, and seek approval before taking action, silence has become rare. Yet some of the most significant transformations happen away from attention, away from applause, and far away from the opinions of people who never intended to help in the first place. Many people make the mistake of confusing attention with progress. They believe that talking about a goal is the same as pursuing it. They become addicted to recognition before they have earned results. They want validation for the journey before they have even taken the first step. But real growth does not need an audience. Real growth happens when nobody is watching. It happens in those private moments when discipline replaces excuses and action replaces conversation. There is something powerful about keeping your vision protected while it is still developing. Every dream begins in a fragile state. In the early state, confidence is still being built, skills are still being developed, direction is still becoming clear. Exposing those plans to too many opinions can create unnecessary doubt. Some people will project their own fears onto your ambitions. Others will laugh because they cannot imagine achieving what you are attempting. A few may secretly hope you fail because your success would force them to confront their own limitations. Silence creates space for focus. Instead of wasting energy defending your goals, you can invest that energy into achieving them. Instead of arguing with doubters, you can let your actions speak. Instead of explaining every step, you can spend that time improving. The less attention you seek, the more energy becomes available for actual progress. Working in silence also develops self-reliance. When praise disappears, you discover whether your motivation is genuine. When nobody is cheering for you, your commitment is tested. Anyone can stay focused when encouragement is abundant. The real challenge comes when support is absent. That is where character begins to reveal itself. That is where discipline separates itself from temporary motivation. Many people quit because they depend too heavily on external validation. They need constant reassurance that they are on the right path. They need approval before making decisions. They need recognition to continue moving forward. But those who learn to work in silence develop a different kind of strength. They become guided by purpose instead of applause. They learn to trust their process even when nobody else understands it. There is also a strategic advantage in moving quietly. Expectations can become distractions. The more people know about your plans, the more pressure can build around outcomes. Silence removes that burden. It allows experimentation. It allows mistakes. It allows learning without constant judgment. It provides the freedom to grow without feeling the need to perform for an audience. History is filled with examples of individuals who built extraordinary lives behind the scenes before the world noticed them. What appeared to be overnight success was actually years of preparation hidden from public view. People only saw the breakthrough. They did not see the countless hours of practice, study, sacrifice, and persistence that made that breakthrough possible. The interesting thing about silent work is that results eventually become impossible to hide. Words can be ignored, promises can be doubted, announcements can be forgotten, results speak a language that everyone understands. Once tangible evidence appears, explanations become unnecessary. Success eliminates the need for arguments because achievement becomes the answer. Those who doubted you may suddenly become curious. Those who ignored you may start paying attention. Those who questioned your vision may begin asking how you accomplished it. Yet none of those reactions should become the goal, never to impress them. The goal was to become the person capable of achieving something meaningful. Silence teaches patience because meaningful progress rarely happens overnight. It teaches resilience because there are no immediate rewards. It teaches discipline because consistency must continue without recognition. Most importantly, it teaches confidence because every achievement becomes proof that you can rely on yourself. The individuals who master this approach understand that attention is temporary, but growth is permanent. They do not rush to announce every idea. They do not seek approval from every observer. They focus on building, improving, learning, and evolving while the world remains unaware of what is taking shape. By the time others finally notice, the transformation is already complete, the foundation is already strong, the skills are already refined, and the results have become too undeniable for anyone to dismiss as coincidence or luck. The most intimidating quality a person can possess: they admire natural ability. They celebrate gifted individuals. They assume that extraordinary talent is what separates successful people from everyone else. But there is something far more unsettling than talent, something that quietly creates results over time and eventually becomes impossible to compete with. That force is consistency. Talent attracts attention because it is visible. Someone performs a skill effortlessly and people immediately notice. They are impressed by how quickly the person learns. how naturally they excel, or how easily they seem to outperform others. Consistency, however, rarely receives the same recognition in the beginning. It appears ordinary, it looks repetitive, it lacks the excitement that often surrounds natural ability. Yet over time, consistency becomes one of the most powerful advantages a person can possess. The reason consistency unsettles people is because it removes excuses. Talent can be explained away. Someone can say, "They were born with gifts I do not have." They can convince themselves that success happened because of special abilities. But consistency tells a different story. Consistency reveals what can happen when a person shows up repeatedly, improves gradually, and refuses to stop. It proves that progress is often less about extraordinary gifts and more about extraordinary commitment. Many people are comfortable competing against talent because they believe talent has limits. What makes them uncomfortable is watching someone continue to improve day after day. They see a person making steady progress while others remain stuck. They watch someone become stronger, wiser, and more capable through disciplined effort. Deep down, they recognize that this kind of growth is difficult to dismiss. It cannot be reduced to luck or natural ability. It is the result of choices made consistently over time. There is something psychologically powerful about a person who keeps moving forward regardless of circumstances. Most individuals operate based on feelings. They work when they feel motivated. They pursue goals when conditions seem favorable. They stay committed only when progress is visible. Consistent individuals operate differently, continue whether they feel inspired or not. They continue whether recognition arrives or not. They continue whether the path feels easy or difficult. This reliability creates momentum, producing outcomes that seem extraordinary to outside observers. The improvements may appear insignificant at first. A little more knowledge, a little more discipline, a little more experience. But over weeks, months, and years, those small gains accumulate into something remarkable. What seemed ordinary becomes exceptional because very few people maintain the patience required to continue for that long. Consistency also creates trust. People learn that they can depend on individuals who remain committed. Opportunities often flow toward those who demonstrate reliability. Leaders emerge because others know they will follow through. Professionals advance because they repeatedly deliver results. Relationships strengthen because actions align with words. In every area of life, consistency builds credibility. The reason some people become jealous of consistency is because it highlights the gap between intention and action. Many individuals have dreams, many have plans, many talk about what they want to achieve, but not everyone is willing to do the necessary work repeatedly. Watching someone else remain disciplined can be uncomfortable because it serves as a reminder of what is possible when excuses are removed. Consistency does not require perfection. In fact, one of its greatest strengths is that it survives imperfection. Consistent people still make mistakes, they still experience setbacks, they still face doubt and uncertainty. The difference is that they refuse to let those experiences stop them. They recover faster, they adapt, they continue moving forward. Their progress is not based on avoiding failure, but on refusing to remain defeated by it. Over time, consistency transforms identity. It changes how a person sees themselves. Every repeated action reinforces a belief. Every completed task strengthens confidence. Every challenge overcome becomes evidence of capability. Gradually, discipline becomes a habit, and habit becomes character. What once required effort eventually becomes part of who they are. That is why consistency often creates greater results than talent alone. Talent without discipline can fade. Talent without effort can stagnate. Talent without persistence can be wasted. Consistency, on the other hand, keeps building. It keeps learning, it keeps adapting, it keeps growing stronger long after initial excitement disappears. The people who underestimate its power often realize too late that they were never competing against a single achievement or a moment of brilliance. They were competing against a relentless commitment to improvement that continued every day, every week, every month, and every year, while everyone else searched for shortcuts, waited for perfect timing, or relied on potential instead of action. Pain has a strange way of changing people. Some allow it to break them, others allow it to shape them. The difference is not found in what happened to them, but in what they decide to do with what happened. Every person experiences disappointment, betrayal, rejection, and failure at some point in life. No one escapes those experiences. The real question is whether those moments become chains that hold you back or fuel that pushes you forward. Most people spend years trying to avoid pain, but pain is often one of life's greatest teachers. It exposes weaknesses that comfort hides. It reveals truths that success sometimes conceals. It forces growth when complacency would have kept you standing still. Nobody enjoys difficult experiences. Many of the qualities people admire most, strength, resilience, wisdom, patience, and courage, are developed through struggle. Betrayal, in particular, leaves a deep mark. There is a unique kind of disappointment that comes from trusting someone who eventually lets you down. It can make you question your judgment. It can make you question people. It can even make you question yourself. But betrayal also teaches valuable lessons about boundaries, discernment, and self-respect. It shows you who truly belongs in your life and who is only present for convenience. The pain is real, but so is the growth that follows. Many people carry old wounds for years because they never learn how to transform them into something useful. They replay painful memories repeatedly, allowing the past to control the present. They become trapped inside events that can no longer be changed. The result is emotional exhaustion, energy that could be used for growth, consumed by resentment and regret. The strongest individuals eventually reach a different conclusion. They realize that while they cannot always control what happens to them, they can control what those experiences mean. They stop asking why something happened and begin asking what it can teach them. This shift in perspective changes everything. The same event that once felt like a burden becomes a source of strength. The same betrayal that once caused suffering becomes a lesson in wisdom. The same failure that once created embarrassment becomes valuable experience. Failure is often misunderstood. Society teaches people to fear it, avoid it, and hide it. Yet failure is one of the most effective forms of education available. It provides immediate feedback. It reveals flaws in strategies. It identifies weaknesses that require improvement. Every successful person has encountered failure repeatedly. The difference is that they refuse to view failure as a permanent identity. It as information rather than condemnation. There is also power in refusing to let pain define your future. When someone hurts you, they influence a moment in your life. When you allow that hurt to control your mindset for years, the influence becomes much larger. Reclaiming that power requires making a difficult choice. It requires deciding that your future deserves more attention than your past. It requires focusing on where you are going rather than remaining trapped by where you have been. Pain can become motivation. Rejection can become determination. Betrayal can become clarity. Failure can become preparation. Every difficult experience contains energy. That energy will move somewhere. It can move toward bitterness, anger, and self-destruction, or it can move toward growth, achievement, and transformation. The choice belongs to the individual experiencing it. Many of the world's most determined people were not motivated by comfort. They were motivated by adversity, driven by experiences that forced them to become stronger than they ever expected. Challenges awakened abilities that would have remained dormant under easier circumstances. Hardship became the catalyst that pushed them toward a higher version of themselves. The process is not immediate. Transformation rarely happens overnight. Healing takes time. Growth takes effort. Progress requires patience. There will be moments when old wounds resurface. There will be days when memories return, but each step forward weakens the hold that past experiences have on your life. Every action taken toward improvement becomes evidence that pain no longer controls the outcome. Eventually, the very experiences that once seemed destructive begin serving a new purpose. They provide perspective during difficult times. They create empathy for others facing similar struggles. They build confidence because you know what you have already survived. They become reminders that challenges can be overcome and obstacles can be transformed. What once felt like a source of weakness becomes a source of power, and every disappointment, betrayal, setback, and failure becomes part of the fuel that drives you toward greater strength, deeper wisdom, stronger character, and a level of determination that could never have been developed through comfort alone. At some point, every successful person hears the same comment. People look at the results, shake their heads, and call it luck. They see the achievement, the confidence, the progress, and the opportunities, then reduce years of effort to a single word. It sounds simple, it sounds harmless, but hidden inside that word is a misunderstanding of what truly creates lasting success. Luck is often used as an explanation when people cannot see the full story. They witness the outcome but never witness the preparation. They see the reward but never saw the sacrifice. They notice the victory but missed every struggle that came before it. From a distance, success can appear effortless. Up close, it tells a very different story. The truth is that what many people call luck is often the result of deliberate choices repeated over long periods of time. It is the product of discipline when motivation disappeared. It is the result of persistence during moments when quitting seemed easier. It is built through countless decisions that nobody celebrated because nobody was paying attention. Consider how many opportunities are created by preparation. When a chance finally appears, outsiders often call the outcome lucky. What they fail to realize is that preparation made that opportunity useful. Two people can receive the same chance, but only one may be ready to take advantage of it. The difference is not luck. The difference is the work completed long before the opportunity arrived. People rarely notice the invisible investments that create visible success. They do not see the hours spent learning new skills. They do not see the failures that provided valuable lessons. They do not see the discipline required to continue when progress felt slow. Yet those hidden investments eventually accumulate into results that seem extraordinary. There is also a tendency for people to underestimate consistency because it lacks drama. Extraordinary achievements are often built through ordinary actions performed repeatedly. Reading one page seems insignificant. Saving a small amount of money seems insignificant. Practicing a skill for one day seems insignificant. But when those actions are repeated hundreds or thousands of times, they create outcomes that appear remarkable. What looks like luck is frequently the compound effect of small, disciplined choices. Another reason people mislabel success as luck is because acknowledging the truth can be uncomfortable. If success is only luck, then no personal responsibility is required. No difficult questions need to be asked. No habits need to be changed. No effort needs to be increased. Luck becomes a convenient explanation because it protects people from examining their own potential. Yet the individuals who achieve meaningful success understand a different reality. They know that while certain circumstances may be beyond their control, their response to those circumstances remains within their power. They focus on preparation rather than excuses. They focus on growth rather than blame. They focus on action rather than complaints. Every challenge they overcame contributed something valuable. Every setback strengthened resilience. Every rejection sharpened determination. Every failure revealed lessons that improved future performance. None of those experiences felt fortunate at the time. In fact, many of them were painful. Yet those difficult moments became essential parts of the journey. There comes a point when a person realizes that success is not something that happens to them. It is something they help create through consistent effort and intentional choices. They stop waiting for perfect conditions. They stop hoping for miraculous breakthroughs. They stop searching for shortcuts. Instead, they commit themselves to the process of improvement. This mindset changes everything. Rather than feeling powerless, they become proactive. Rather than envying the achievements of others, they focus on developing their own abilities. Rather than wishing for luck, they build habits that increase the likelihood of success. Over time, those habits produce results that others struggle to explain. The irony is that genuine success often appears sudden to those who are not paying attention. People notice the breakthrough but overlook the years of preparation that made it possible. They see the moment of recognition but ignore the seasons of obscurity. They witness the reward but forget the countless sacrifices that came first. That is why the phrase "they're lucky" often misses the deeper truth. Luck may influence moments, but character influences direction. Create opportunities, but preparation determines whether those opportunities are seized. Luck may affect circumstances, but discipline shapes outcomes. Behind every achievement that others casually describe as fortunate stands a story of persistence, sacrifice, growth, resilience, self-belief, and relentless effort. A story written one decision at a time by someone who refused to surrender their future to chance and instead chose to create what the world would eventually mistake for luck.